afternoon, Cherries fans, and welcome to the latest in Cherry Picking, our podcast here on Up the Cherries in All Departments. Before we get stuck into our show today, here's a bit about our sponsors, Dental on the Banks. Find out a little bit more about what they can do for you, visit dentalonthebanks.co.uk. Now, it's a pleasure, as always, to be joined by two good friends. Firstly, Matt, how are you doing, mate?
All good. Looking forward to this one.
Yeah, likewise. And we have got Mr. Chris Rawlins as well down there at the bottom with the Wilshire shirt. How you doing, mate?
Yeah, very good, thank you. I'm good.
Awesome stuff. So, to be fair, it's been a fairly quiet week. There have been a couple of rumours that have been swirling about. Tangana from Spurs. What do you guys make of that?
To be honest, I don't think we need another. He's a right back, isn't he? That can play centre back.
Yeah.
Or is he a centre back that can play right back?
That is the question, isn't it?
Well, because if he's a right back, I don't think we need another one. So we've already got Smith and Fredericks, haven't we?
Yeah, I think Smith will go in as first choice next season, but Fredericks, he's dependable. He's been in the Premier League for some time, so I think it's a sensible move because Scott Parker does know him. So, yeah, there's rumours swirling about but we haven't done much activity in the transfer market. Are you guys worried, or are you? Because personally, from where I'm sat, I think we had the strongest midfield last season in the Championship. We were scoring goals. Okay, yes, it wasn't Mitrovic levels that Solanke got, but still, Solanke does provide for other players as well. I think it's the back four that worries me. The left back position's absolutely fine. Right back, as we discussed. I think it's the centre backs, and I think we need two. Would you agree?
Yeah, I would say. Looking at it, I think everyone's just eagerly anticipating Nat Phillips signing again, aren't they?
Yeah.
I know he played against United the other day, didn't he, in a friendly?
He did, yeah, and United won 4-0, didn't they? So
yeah,
hopefully that might go in our favour.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I was reading something the other day that the reason why they want to make it a loan move now is because they see possibly in 2 years' time when Matip's contract's up, I think it'd be something like 33 then. And they see Nat Phillips now as potentially a replacement for Matip, which will save them money in the transfer window. So that's why they're looking at apparently a loan now. So apparently it might be a 2-season loan. He'll be going on a loan up 1 year after the other. So that's what I was reading earlier on in the week. So it'd be interesting. I mean, this guy from Tottenham, I just think we need a good, solid centre back to definitely add into there. Maybe two, but when we're definitely going to need one. I mean, if we've got Mepham, if we do keep hold of Mepham, obviously there's your cover. But you definitely need that partner for Kelly.
Yeah. And
I'm the same as Matt, really. Yeah, just one definitely, maybe two. Hopefully Phillips. Same as Matt.
And Nat Phillips had that good relationship with Lloyd Kelly last season, so it would make sense. The one thing I'd like us to try and do is, if we do sign him back on loan, is to actually agree a fee with Liverpool now, because I think if we leave it after the season and he does have a good season with us, it keeps us up. Liverpool are obviously going to put their price up, so I think it would be key if we can agree a figure to do it now. But if they are looking at a replacement for Matip and do consider Phillips as that, I think that might be where we might come unstuck. But today's show, we are discussing the AFC Bournemouth worst 11. Now, Matt and Chris have picked two teams. I'm adjudicating today, which is actually quite nice. So, Matt and Chris have picked two teams, which every Bournemouth fan should dread seeing run out onto the pitch. And without doubt, probably wouldn't have done the Great Escape. But first question, because of course, we need to decide who goes first. So, you ready for this, guys?
Go on.
Yep.
Right. Miles Addison, remember him?
Yep.
How many games over his loan and permanent spell did he play for the Cherries?
34.
Yeah, I'll go 32.
Matt is spot on with 34.
Well
You
done,
didn't
Matt.
Google that, did you?
No.
See, you're an encyclopedia of knowledge. So, you going first or second, Matt? Go on.
Yeah, go on then. I'll go first.
You'll go
I'll
first.
Go first. Yeah.
Okie doke. Seeing as we are a professional channel here, we have got some great images as well. Do remember to hit that subscribe button to be alerted to any new content that we've got coming up as well here on Up the Cherries in all departments. It does mean a lot to us. Do remember to hit the like button as well. That always helps as well, and hit that bell. But let's get on with this then. So I am going to bring up the first slide. So the contender for the goalkeeper. Go on, talk us through this. Of course, we've got Nylands there. Let's start off with him.
Yeah, so last season, he only played a couple of games. I think it was 3 games. And not just because we got spanked 6-0 in the cup at Norwich. He played in that one because he actually kept a clean sheet against Hull on the Saturday. But went up to Yeovil in the cup, and he just looked shaky against a non-league side for the whole 90 minutes. His footwork was terrible. He just didn't look a confident keeper at all. So, to be fair, one of the worst I've seen in a Bournemouth shirt for a long time, I would say.
To be honest, I've got to agree with that. I didn't have no faith in him at all, really. He did keep that clean sheet, as you say, but
wasn't really challenged that day at Hull, if I remember rightly. I think it was kind of a dire 0-0 where most of the ball was in the middle of the park for most of the game, and I don't think either keeper really had much to do, if I remember rightly. But yeah, just for the Yeovil game on its own, that was some shocker. A player actually slid in and won the ball off him in his own box.
Yeah,
and that's when our former player Joe Quigley had a nice little tap in to get a goal for Yeovil. So yeah, that's my first contender.
And then he buggered off to that lot up the M4, and did exactly the same in that last game of the season for them, which basically helped Luton get into the playoffs, didn't it?
Yeah. So yeah, that's I don't think he'll live long in the memory of most Cherry fans, to be fair.
No, to be honest, I think we forgot about him as soon as he left. And to be fair to the Reading fans, we were sympathising with them, let's say, after he signed. But let's go on to keeper number 2.
Yeah, Michael Menatrea. Chris won't agree with this one, but
great penalty saver.
Yeah, which I'll touch on that. He was brought in as during the summer. Mark Ovendale moved on, who had been a very, very good goalkeeper. And Michael Menatrea was brought in, and from what I can remember, he was held as the new number one. And he didn't really hold the place for that long before he lost his place to Gareth Stewart. But he did have a good cup game. He saved three penalties in a row, I think, Chris, wasn't it?
Yeah, 3 penalties in a row, yeah.
And who was that against?
I can't remember, to be honest.
Was it in the
It was in like the old Worthington Cup or whatever it was called that year.
Was it Norwich?
No, it wasn't Norwich. It was I can't remember who it was, but it was the old Dean Court.
It was at the old ground. And then he just sort of disappeared into nowhere. So that's why he's a contender for me. He was hyped up to be the new number one and didn't materialise in that way.
So let's look at goalkeeper number 3 there.
Okay, obviously now this one doesn't technically count because he was only a loan signing, and I know we're not doing loan signings. But Chris, do you remember much about this one?
Is it Merritt Stetch or whatever his name is?
Yeah, that's right.
He played 1 game, didn't he? Away at Morecambe.
And let 5
didn't we?
Something like that. Yeah, I think it was 5-0, wasn't it? He let 5 on his, and he was never seen again.
Yeah.
But obviously he won't get into the team because he was only a loan signing. But and obviously on the end there we've got Mr. David James, just purely because I love the way he tells his story, that how he calls it the nicest sacking he ever had. When I think he was told when Howell come in that he would be the number one keeper for him. And I think he had a howler at home. I think he let 3 goals in. Did he let 3 goals in? In a home game at one point, not long after Howard come back. And apparently after the game, Howard just said to him, "Look, you're never going to play in one of my teams again." So just for that one, I thought that would be good just to chuck him in there.
To be honest,
legend of the game.
Oh, he was a legend. And, when he signed, it was... I've been thinking of this as soon as I saw it. It is like Margot Robbie coming up to you in Camel Bar when you're 18 years old and you think, oh, but, he what a terrible analogy. But, what I mean is that you think, bloody hell, he's great goalkeeper, signing for little old Bournemouth. Of course, we've come on leaps and bounds now, but, it just didn't work out, did it really?
No, unfortunately not. But, it's nice to say that a legend of the game's played for the club. He had a successful career, didn't he? I think he won the FA Cup twice, didn't he?
Yeah.
He's had a successful career. Obviously, he was England number one not long before that. I think he was number one at the 2010 World Cup, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Not number one. And then I think this is 2013? 2014, so 4 years later. So, he'd obviously had his day by then, but I just think the story's great, really.
Just very quickly before we move on, out of those, Chris, out of Matt's choices, which one would you say, and which one would you say is the worst of the 4?
Out of those, just because I've done my rules slightly different to Matt's. I did mine as they had to have played a minimum of 10 games, just in my list. So I would have to go with Michael Menatrea, just based on my own rules.
He set his own rules already, Matt.
I just did it slightly different. And David James, the hype when he signed, and because he played for England, I just couldn't consider him. So Michael Menatrea for me out of those.
No, fair enough. That's what I was trying to refer to, but I did it absolutely terribly, didn't I? Let's be honest, it was probably the worst analogy. you probably ever heard of.
Not as bad as Margot Robbie walking into a bar.
That's what basically it was saying. She's probably never heard of Bournemouth. Let's go on to the defence. So,
right, this was the toughest one to pick. Now, I'm sure Chris will agree with me here. Now, if you look at all those ones at the bottom there, now they are absolute legends for me. Now, when me and Chris were growing up, I mean, when we first started watching Bournemouth, I mean, it wasn't much longer after when Neil Young come in, Jamie Vincent then joined him, and they were part of the back four for, well, until Vincent left. Obviously, Vincent went on to Huddersfield, and Machin tried to convert Krista Warren into a left back.
Yeah.
Which proved quite successful. So, I mean, very tricky one. I wouldn't like to pick Krista Warren because, I mean, to be fair, coming into Bournemouth as a striker, then he got converted as a left-sided midfielder, and then eventually he was settled in at left back. And then going on, you got Perchie come in, Warren Cummings come in, again alongside Younger. You know, Perchie would fill in at right back if Younger was injured. You know, very versatile player. And then obviously onto the later on era with Frano and Smithy and Charlie Daniels. This was the toughest one to pick for me. Bradders obviously filled in when Young moved on, and another striker that converted to a fullback position. So it'd be harsh to put Bradders in there. So all I could come up with was two left backs. In Narada and Brad Smith. Now, yeah, I have. You will see at the end it does work out differently, but Narada come from Arsenal, and to be fair to Narada, he did put in some good games, but he did have the likes of Perchie that come in at the same time as him. So you had Youngie at right back, and when Youngie was fit, Perchie would play left back. So in fairness to Narada, he did have, and obviously Cummins was there as well. So he come in on loan from Chelsea at some point. So to be fair, he did have some stiff competition in the time he was at Bournemouth. Which again, you could probably say about Brad Smith as well. I mean, Charlie Daniels, obviously one of the first names on the team sheet. You also had Tyrone Mings at the time. He was playing left back, but kind of being converted to a centre back. So, I mean, he had some stiff competition. So yeah, this one for me. I mean, I don't know how Chris has found it. He might, knowing him, he'd turn and say, "Oh no, I found this one easy." But for me, I found this one a tricky one.
Yeah, the right back position was hard.
Definitely.
Like, really hard. And you'll see in mine, I had a similar problem, to be honest.
It's a tricky one overall. So really, the only two on there that are real contenders for me is Narada and Brad Smith.
Let's be honest, Brad Smith didn't deliver anything what we expected him to when he joined from Liverpool. And personally, you know, I've got to agree with that one. I think, you know, he just didn't break in, did he? He offered so much, didn't he? But well, they said he offered so much, but you know, delivered very little.
Yes, yeah. I mean, he had a great time in America. I believe he's at DC United now. But he did. I think he won the MLS Cup. I think, or something with Seattle Saunders, if I remember rightly. But yeah, unfortunately, it just didn't work out.
It's a different level, really, isn't it, to English football?
Yeah, it is different. Obviously, I mean, I know the American game is. I mean, year on year, it looks like the MLS is getting bigger, but obviously, it's not at the same level as our top division. But yeah, like I say, that one was a real tricky one.
Well, let's have a look at the centre back position. And yeah, some right characters on there. One that jumps out straight in the centre. Again, somebody who offered a lot but delivered very little. But go on, Matt, talk for him.
Yeah, Sean Mayer. In fairness to Sean, he wasn't the worst of players, but he did have a lot of injuries while he was at Bournemouth, and if I remember rightly, he had a couple of silly sending offs for some silly challenges. Mitchell Nelson. Always get the name mixed up. He was signed, never really ever made any appearances for the club. Didn't really last that long. Was said to have had a lot of potential, but could never ever seem to dislodge the likes of Adam Barrett. That season, I think he was captain and centre back at that time, I believe, and Miles Addison come in, and eventually Elflick and eventually Cook, and he just never ever seemed to manage to dislodge anybody to get any games. Then I think I've got an old favourite of Chris's here as well, actually.
What? Callum Hart?
Callum Hart.
Yeah, I think he's a left back, isn't he?
Well, this is the thing. I couldn't quite remember. I think, if I remember rightly, didn't he fill in across the whole of the back four?
Yeah, I think he did, but I think predominantly he was a left back. But I think he did play everywhere.
I think he kind of played everywhere. But yeah, I think you're probably right.
He was only good for his hair, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was always first one to be spotted, because I think at one point he went for a phase of dyeing it funny colours, didn't he?
Yeah.
So yeah, played quite a few games for Bournemouth, but never personally myself ever really found him that consistent. Scott Guyett, Australian centre back, built up a very good career now. I believe he's at Palace as a fitness coach, I believe. So he seems to have made a success after his playing days. But just at Bournemouth again, another one that I always felt a bit shaky when I saw his name on the team sheet. And that day we played Grimsby at home. I think it was both him and Ryan Gary at the back. And to this day now, I still think, God, how did we get through that game? Because when you look at the likes of, at the time we had like Jason Pearce, Sean Cooper, we did have some good centre backs, but just for me, I always felt a bit concerned when I saw his name on the team sheet. And Miles Addison. Yeah, this was for me. He come down on loan, didn't he? And I think his loan spell, I think he had quite a good spell with us. And then obviously was signed permanently. Was made captain. But then an injury ended his season, and he struggled to dislodge Tommy and I think Steve Cook by then, and kind of made a partnership. And he was kind of phased out on loan. He went out to Rotherham, Scunthorpe, Blackpool. And he was last to be known at Stratford Town, I believe. He was last.
That's correct.
Last with. So, unfortunately, a player that had a lot of promise, but didn't really fulfill his potential.
Was he signed by Groves?
I think he was.
Yes, he was. He was
Groves. It was either Groves or Bradbury, wasn't it?
Well, yeah, because
it wasn't Al, but it was either Groves or Bradbury.
Yeah, it's definitely a Groves or a Bradbury signing. Yeah, I think it would have been Groves, to be fair.
Yeah,
he was signed permanently, so I think Groves brought him in on loan and then signed him permanently.
Yeah,
or he was already at the club and then they signed him permanently. Then I got one here, Chris will remember. Owen Cole. Irish defender. One that, again, I remember he's only really played a handful of games for the club. But again, was always one of those fringe players that never seemed to get a decent run in the team. But again, at that time when he was playing, there was pretty much an established back four. By that time, Ian Cox was converted to a centre back, and he would have been playing alongside, obviously, a young Howe, who was breaking into the team a lot more. Then they brought Frank Rowling in. So another one that couldn't really break into the squad. And then lastly, just for fun, he only played for us on loan, but Chris will remember this one, Terrell Forbes.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
That one's just for fun.
You might as well have brought Stevel and Dangus in.
I did think about that,
Yeah.
but obviously I didn't want to push it with the old loan. I know we weren't. The only rule I knew was no loans, so
Yeah.
I just thought I'd just chuck him in there because
He was a nightmare, wasn't he? God.
I remember he come down on loan from West Ham, didn't he? And I think there was one evening game, one Tuesday night game, and I remember you and me being in the newsstand, and he had a right howler.
Yeah, that was. Yeah, he did have a howler that night.
And
Christ, yeah, that was awful.
Yeah, so
Chris, out of those, who would you pick as the centre back pairing?
Miles Addison and Sean Mayer.
Miles Addison, after his initial loan spell was just bloody terrible, wasn't he? And let's be fair, he was.
A bus could turn quicker than him. I mean,
it's not far from the truth, though, is it? Let's be fair. But he only played 34 times for us, as you all found out earlier on. If you didn't know that, you do now.
Yeah.
Right. Let's go on to the next selection. So we are going with the wide men. Oh, crikey. I can straight away spot two there. One promised when he arrived, and then there was one that we did sign permanently, who would take on bloody everybody, but then kind of lose the ball and not pass it to somebody who was in a great position. But go on, Matt. You do the talking.
Right. Okay. First of all, Willie Huck. Coming from Arsenal, promising youngster. If I remember rightly, it was another one that Mel Machin tried to convert into a left back after Vincent left. Never really got a massive run in the team. I think he made something like 40 odd games. He scored 2 cup goals. He just never sort of materialised with his. I mean, he was signed as a bright young talent from Arsenal, and then unfortunately it didn't really work out for him. We got Danny Thomas. For me, he did have some good games, but again, he was always in and out of the side. Could never really hold a place down for too long. And then we come to Mr. Ibe. Yeah. Obviously, he was a wonder kid at Wickham. I don't know if either of you two remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he was some wonder kid, and Liverpool signed him for their under 18s. And at the time, I think word out of Liverpool was saying that he was said to be better than Sterling. And I believe that's part of the reason why Liverpool sold Sterling and kept Ibe.
Really? Wow.
I believe so. But 41 appearances and 1 goal later in his... It's he comes to Bournemouth. I mean, 41 appearances and 1 goal at Liverpool, and we signed him for 15 mil. Massive potential, but it should have really become a Cherries superstar, really. But you know, I think he was dropped at one point for a lack of consistency, which I think everybody at the time could see. And I mean, the total of 78 games, 3 goals. You know, unfortunately, he will probably go down as one of Bournemouth's bigger flops. Name for the past here, Stephen Foley.
Well, yeah. I was trying to work out who it was from the picture.
Yeah, Stephen Foley. Come from Villa.
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah.
And for me, we had better, more talented wingers at the time. Obviously,
Didn't he get a really bad injury? Didn't he
I think
he break his kneecap or something, and he was out for like 2 years?
Yeah, I think something like that did happen. I can't quite remember for definite, but I think you're on the right track.
Yeah.
Obviously, you know, when you had the likes of Wade Elliott in the side, it was always going to be difficult to hold a place down.
Yeah.
And obviously the same with Stephen Cook.
Yeah.
Again, I think come from Villa.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
And at the start, he had so much potential, and I think he played in the centre as well as wide, so he's quite versatile. I think he'd been capped at England youth level. I believe. I might be wrong on that one. So there was quite a big expectation of him. Again, unfortunately, due to injuries, you know, again another one that didn't really materialise. But I mean,
did you know he had one leg 2 inches longer than the other one?
Oh, did he?
Yeah, around the back of the day.
That's an interesting. Maybe you should start writing a book on the length of footballers' legs, Chris.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think anyone's going to need to make note of that and put it in case it comes up in a pub quiz. But
there we are. We've got a pub quiz question there now.
There we go. Yeah, pub quiz question. Down at the bottom there, right hand side, Chris's mate.
I never liked him.
Who?
Let me zoom in and see if I know. Is it Donald McDermott? Yeah.
Yeah.
I was never a big fan of Donald McDermott.
You were never a real fan of his.
No.
So yeah. He's come in. He come in and with again a very, very talented, skillful player. But I think he had a few injuries, and again another player that didn't really fulfill his full potential. And another one there just for fun, just for Chris. Chris's favourite, Loney from Roma.
Yeah.
The future Messi.
Oh, one-eye turbo.
So I thought I'd have to put that one in. There's a couple I've put in there just for Chris's benefit. But
cheers, mate. You know how much I needed to see him.
yeah, I know how much you loved him. So
yeah. All 24 minutes of him or whatever we saw.
Yeah.
Yeah, he wasn't very good, was he? Let's be honest. And yeah.
I mean, with a lot of these players, it's not a case that they weren't really good. You know, they were all talented players in their own right, but it's just sometimes. I mean, you ask most fans, they'll be able to pick an 11 players that you know they would say were, you know, not up to scratch for them. But yeah, I mean, they just didn't work out at Bournemouth. That's all. You know, that's just it,
exactly.
isn't it, really?
Which ones would you go for from that list, Chris?
Right mid, Jordan Ibe, 100%.
Yep.
left mid, Willie Huck.
Fair enough. Well, let's go on to this central midfield position. So centre mid, attacking mid, defensive mid. So quite a lot of characters there. You know, quite a lot. you recognise for the wrong reasons. Go on then.
Yeah, so with here, we've got a few there. One that Chris will definitely recognise. So I think he had a bit of a soft spot for him.
Definitely, definitely didn't. If you're talking about Paul Telfer, no, I didn't.
No, it wasn't actually, but yeah, okay, cool. So yeah, Paul Telfer. Paul Telfer, yeah. Now, see, the interesting thing with Paul Telfer is he came to us from Celtic. I think he was out of contract, or he was definitely on a free anyway, because we definitely didn't pay any money for him. But an ex-Scotland international, because he had one cap. He did have a cap, so it makes him an international. Played 57 times for Celtic, if I remember correctly. And he virtually had a man of the match performance against Barcelona in the Champions League about 12 months before he joined Bournemouth. And he only played 18 games. He had an injury-plagued period with us. But when he was with us, he never ever seemed comfortable playing. Now, I think it's a case of where he was used to playing with players of a better caliber at the time, and he was put into our squad, and he kind of struggled with the intelligence of the football. He might have been more intelligent than the football style we were playing, possibly, but he just seemed to put a ball across the midfield, and he would misjudge a player's run, or and then lose the ball, and then he'd have to try and intercept the ball back. And he just always seemed to me that he kind of struggled at that level. Because there's no way 12 months before you have a world-class performance against Barcelona and then come to Bournemouth and can't do the job. So I don't think it was really his footballing skills. I think it was more the actual team that he was playing in. Another one of Chris's mates, Wes Foden.
I liked him. He actually tried quite hard every game.
This is exactly what I was just about to say. 110% each game. Every game he played. Always put a shift in. You could never, ever criticise the guy on that. But I just never really thought it was his level.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And now he's into non-league football now, and now he's at Poole Town. And they look set to have a interesting season. They've signed some good players, and he's one of them. So I'm sure he's going to be a massive asset down at Tattenham. Joe Partington, come through the youth system. Again, had a talented midfield in front of him in the likes of Harry Arter, players like that. I believe towards the end of his spell, I think maybe the first season we were in the Championship, I think in training they were trying to work on converting him into a centre-back. But by the time we were in the Championship, I think it was above his level. Again, another one that's gone into non-league football. I think he's won a trophy recently, or has played in a non-league final. I think he played against. Did Wrexham play in a cup final?
Yeah, in the like the FA Trophy or something like that.
Yeah, and I think he played against Wrexham. He was playing for the side against Wrexham, I believe.
Bromley, I think, isn't it?
I think something like that. Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah, I'll have a look quickly, actually.
Yeah, I know I think he had a successful cup season, I believe, this year. Stephen Gregory, one that come in that again, with the midfield in front of him, another one that kind of struggled to hold down a place in the side. Again, was meant to have a lot of potential, but didn't really fulfill that. Didn't last too long until he was gone. I think he may only spent a season with us. Maybe. Or maybe 2 seasons, but he didn't play a lot of games. Couldn't seem to dislodge that midfield.
Quick note on Joe Parkinson. He was at Bromley last season, but he's now moved on to Aldershot Town, so the recreation ground. So we can remember a couple of games against them.
Yeah, been there a couple of times. Lee Tomlin. Now I don't know if Chris will agree with me here of putting him in.
To be honest with you, I actually forgot about him. If I'd remembered him, he'd have been in mine as well.
I mean, I think Howe was after him for a little while. I think even when we were in the Championship, I think Howe admired him and wanted to sign him. I think he come in with, known as more of an attacking midfielder, wasn't he?
Yeah.
And again, scored loads of goals for the clubs he'd played for. I think he was at Peterborough and then went on to Middlesbrough. Did we sign him from Middlesbrough?
Yeah, it was Middlesbrough.
We paid good money for him, and you'll probably remember, Chris. I can't remember how much.
I think it was something like 8 million or something. But on his day, he's unplayable.
Yeah, I mean, in the Championship, I mean, I was really excited to see him come in because I can remember him running rings round players and come to us, and I just don't think he fitted our style of play, did he?
No, he was too fat as well.
And there was, put it a bit politer. There was talk of him being a bit overweight and this and that, but I mean, shame really, because I mean he could again, a bit like Akaib, he could have been a fantastic player.
Yeah.
Jamie Day. Again, another one come from Arsenal. Couldn't never really hold down a place in the side. I mean, when he come in, I mean, there was midfielders like Steve Robinson and, again, players that were already established in those positions. So in fairness to him, it wasn't the easiest of midfields just to walk straight into. Plus, I think you had players like John O'Neill who were on the bench that was ahead of him. And so, another difficult situation for a player to try and break his way into the team, especially as a youngster. I mean, he must have only been probably 19, 20 when he joined us. He was only young, wasn't he?
Yeah.
And then Lorenzo Davids. Did you see much of him, Chris?
Well, I don't think anyone saw much of him.
He played a handful of games, if that, did he?
Yeah, I don't know how many he played. I think he only played like 4 or 5 there. I don't know.
Yeah, and I think he was pretty bigged up.
Yeah, wasn't he like Edgar Davids' cousin or something?
Yeah, Edgar Davids' cousin, and apparently he was, an awesome, this awesome midfielder. And...
I think I only saw his debut. To be fair, I don't think I saw any other games of his. And, but I never remember. I don't, he didn't set my world alight.
No, I don't remember. But all I can remember was really, I think it must have been his debut, and just wasn't overly impressed, we say.
Didn't him, David James and Demouge all sign on like the same weekend or something? Or around the same time?
Quite possibly.
Yeah, I think they all signed about the same time.
I think there's one there that you've touched on that we'll touch on a bit later. And the other one, can you remember him?
Justin Harrington.
Yeah, come down from Norwich. And could not break into the team.
No.
Again, around the same time as Jamie Day, was about a season or two before him. About a season before him, I believe. And again, like I say, with Jamie Day, he was fighting to get into an already established midfield. So, I found this one probably the second trickiest one, to be fair. To actually.
Yeah, I did as well. I haven't got hardly any for this position.
Yeah.
Which ones would you go for, though, out of that list?
To be honest with you, Lee Tomlin has to be in there just because he didn't deliver anywhere near what he should have.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's the other one's really hard because probably I'm a bit stumped. Maybe I have to go with Gregory, maybe.
Lorenzo Davids, I've just had a quick look. He is Edgar Davids' cousin, 13 years younger. But he is currently playing for SV. I'm gonna really mispronounce this, but Nishman.
What league are they?
I don't know, but they don't have a Wikipedia page, so I'm guessing they're
There we go.
quite low. There we go.
Division 3 at David English on Wednesday nights.
Yeah. But before he did join the club, he did play for NEC, who are, of course, a big club. Actually in the same town as where he is playing at the moment, and Augsburg as well, in German football. So, there was potential there. It looks like he was going to be a good signing, but only 3 appearances for us, which says its own story, really, doesn't it? But shall we crack on with the next position? And here they are.
Here we go. Right, okay.
That's a beautiful lot, isn't it?
Right.
There is some good ones there.
Right, so okay, let's start. Chucky Araben. Now, myself and Chris
we were there.
Say that we saw Chucky's only goal.
Yeah, we should get a T-shirt printed with that.
Only goal.
Yeah.
It was a boiling hot day. Bristol Rovers away. We parked. Well, your old man
away.
Parked. I think he was closer to Bristol City's ground than he was. About 45 minutes to walk there. But we witnessed Chucky's goal. So
your dad had cramp.
Yeah, that's right. Then it took them ages to get to the ground.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's probably, in fairness, one of the biggest strikers that we had come in. I mean, he had such a, what I mean by biggest, like the biggest potential, because he come in during the pre-season. Machin brought him in from Coventry, and he had a good pre-season, if I remember rightly. And I think he scored quite a few goals that pre-season, didn't he, Chris?
Yeah, he scored about 7 or 8 in pre-season.
Yeah, and when he scored against Bristol City, Bristol Rovers, so we just thought, well, that's it. We've got our striker now.
Yeah.
And yeah, unfortunately, he never scored again. Then obviously management changed. Certain Mr. Defoe come in and found his opportunities, obviously with the likes of Hayter, and then Warren Feeney coming in. Found his options very, very limited in terms of a starting player. But I mean, I don't know if you remember one of the games, Chris, when we sat in the North Stand. I think we were playing Cardiff.
Oh yeah.
And from the centre kickoff, he started running towards our own goal with the ball. Do you remember? And everyone in the was going, turn the other way. Which is always something that sticks in my mind. But he's had a much travelled career in non-league football. I think he won the Conference South in 2006. He's won the FA Trophy. So he's actually, in fairness to him, he has had success. Do
you remember when we were playing at the Avenue at Dorchester's ground? Do you remember when he hit the train that was going past?
There's Chucky's other, claim to fame there.
Hitting the train.
Bristol Rovers away and hit the train.
Yeah.
The days of travelling to Dorchester was like going to an away game every week, wasn't it?
Yeah, the good old days.
The good old days. The next one, couldn't find a picture of him in a Bournemouth shirt.
There's a shock.
It's a certain Joe Shearing. Played for Chelsea. I think he made a first team appearance. I think he's actually, now don't quote me, but I think he might be famous for actually having the shortest Premier League career in history.
Yeah, I read that I've read that somewhere as well.
Where I think he got subbed on for about a few seconds and the final whistle went, and then he never played again. I think it must be something like that, but I believe he has the record for the shortest appearance in Premier League history.
Which club was that for?
Chelsea.
Chelsea.
Yeah, we're
the
going
shortest
back,
Premier League career or something like that, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean we're going back to sort of Zola, Vialli,
97, probably.
You know, the old classic Chelsea side that Ken Bates and Ruud Gullit put together. But then he come down to Bournemouth again. You know, you think great, we're getting a quality striker. Goes and scores a wonderful overhead kick in front of the South End, and then unfortunately just didn't materialise into anything. What actually happened to him, I don't know. I think he went to was it AFC Wimbledon when they were.
Yeah, he did all right.
I think that's the picture there. I think that's AFC Wimbledon when they were in really early formation.
Yeah, that because they were sponsored by Championship Manager. Yeah, that is them. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I think he had quite a successful spell with them.
Yeah.
And the next man there, Chris's favourite all-time striker,
favourite Dutchman of all time. Yeah.
Frank, how do you pronounce it, Chris? Correctly?
Demouge.
Demouge. That's it.
Yeah.
I always liked how he used to say, "Oh yeah, that Frank Demouge, he's a good player."
Well, I thought he was when he signed.
Just scored bag loads of goals. Well, he
scored in the Europa League the season before, didn't he?
He did. He was actually recommended to the club by Max Denham, apparently.
Oh, right, fair enough.
And he was said to be the man to eventually replace Steve Fletcher, because obviously Fletcher by that time was in the very late 30s. He was said to be brought in to eventually give us that big presence up front, because he was a massive, I think if I remember right, he was a big bloke, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was, yeah.
2 appearances, no goals, a knee injury and a broken nose.
Yeah.
And that's about as much contribution, I think, as we had.
Yeah, that was it.
I might be wrong. I don't know.
No, that was it.
Another one of Chris's favourites.
Well, do you remember Reading away where he hit it over the bar from on the line?
Which one are we on about here?
Derek.
Oh man, Derek, yeah.
Derek.
Another one brought in as kind of backup for Fletch, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was.
Come from Ross County, was it?
Yeah, Ross County.
I
think it's a bit of a harsh one because he actually wasn't bad in the end, Derek.
Yeah, and if you let me just touch on that, Chris, thanks for answering my question there. What I was just about to say was, out of all of these, I'd say he's probably the harshest one. He, in fairness, I think he got a lot of stick from the fans at times. But it's always good to see Big Derek. We ain't seen him for a long time, have we? So just to see Derek, it was worth putting him in there, wasn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
And then Mr. Sheringham.
Yeah.
I think the last time I saw him play might have been at Brentford in the trophy. We've got Ahmed 6-0.
Oh, yeah.
One of the best atmospheres I've been to in an away game. Literally every goal that went in, we were going to beat them by one more. By the time we were 4-0 down, we were just enjoying it by then, just singing, and it was a funny atmosphere. Always used to like going to Griffin Park.
Fair play.
We went there a few times, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. Yeah. Do you want to know another pointless fact?
Go on then.
If you want to see a picture of Charlie Sheringham nowadays, you've only got to go into Betfred because he's on all the posters and TV adverts of the person with the football. It's him.
Excellent. Another
There we
useful
go.
stat.
Yeah,
Um,
full of them, Chris.
Oh no.
but yeah, he I mean, just another striker that just sticks out for me that didn't contribute a lot. Unfortunately, can't remember where he came from, to be honest. I think this was a Bradbury signing. I think.
Yeah, he came from Dartford Town, I think, or someone like that.
I bet he was scoring bags loads there, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, just for me, he just I don't think he lasted long when the management situation changed. I think it might have been Howe that actually let him go. But yeah, Chris's idol. There he is.
My childhood.
Town.
My childhood favourite.
No, that's hard. That's just a jokey one there for Chris's benefit. Mr. Town. But Lyle Taylor. Obviously, he's gone on and scored quite a few goals, hasn't he, in recent season? But as a youngster, for me, I mean, I think he come from Concord Rangers, didn't he?
Yeah.
Did he score something silly like 45 goals in a season or something? And he was quite sought after. And was it Howe that signed him?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, he signed him after Pittman went the first time.
Right. Okay. So, but just as I remember watching him as a youngster, and I just thought, I couldn't really see where goals were coming from with him, to be honest, at the time. But in fairness to the guy, I mean, he's gone on elsewhere and scored bag loads of goals, hasn't he? He's had a good spell at Birmingham, didn't he? And he's played for Forest. And is he still at Forest? Is he or?
Yeah, he's just gone back from loan at Birmingham.
Right, okay.
He scored loads at Charlton, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Mr. Mousset.
Yeah.
Again, a player I really, really wanted to do well. Like really well. But I mean, again, a bit like when Defoe come back and when Solanke come in, you had such an established front two when they were fit. King and Wilson. In fairness to him, it was wasn't the easiest front two to dislodge. But I think when he did have his opportunities, I don't think, in my personal opinion, I don't think he really took them.
He showed glimpses, didn't he?
He did. Definitely showed glimpses. But I think when the opportunity was there, I personally just don't think he took the opportunities. And I think that might have been similar at Sheffield, because the first season he played, he was scoring some goals for him, winning at the beginning.
Yeah.
And then unfortunately now I think he's gone abroad now. I think he's
Turkish League.
Is it Turkish League? Is it?
I might be wrong by that, but I shall have a quick look. But I believe he went to the Turkish League. I think he's still at Sheffield United, isn't he? He's on loan, but
on loan. Okay.
No. He, believe it or not, he went to Salernitana.
In Serie A.
Serie A, yeah.
Okay.
They did finish down the bottom. I think they might have actually gone down, but I shall check that.
It's Jordan Ibe that's just gone to Turkey.
That's right.
Oh yes, yeah. Jordan Ibe has gone to Turkey. Yeah, yeah. They stayed up only by the skin of their teeth, to be fair. But yeah, that's where he was. But he was only on loan, so he's back at Sheffield United. But I can't imagine him staying there much longer. But yeah, so to be honest, I don't know if I pronounced this right, but Salernitana, I think it might be. Maybe an Italian viewer might be able to correct me on that, and I do apologise for butchering a town's name. But but yeah, that's where Lys Mousset was. But he's not going to be there next season because he's gone back to Sheffield United.
And just a quick last one there. Trezor Candle. Never seen Chris so excited when we were going to Wickham.
I was about 14.
I think I was more excited that we were going to be wearing a white kit. Chris was more excited that he was going to see Trezor Candle, and he was so excited on the coach. He couldn't hold it all the way there. Oh, he's going to play, he's going to score bags, those goals. And anyway, that's another story.
Yeah. He scored one, didn't he, in the LDV Van Trophy once?
Yeah. But in fairness, another one that went off, and I think he played for Leeds for a bit, didn't he? And
He did, yeah.
And, you know, he went off and had a career elsewhere. Just at the time, he just didn't really do much at Bournemouth, but again, gone on and had a fairly decent career. So you know,
he was very successful, really, at Leeds. Trezor Candle. You know, just looking at the figures here for him, and what he actually did there. He's 40 years old now, so he's of course retired. Yeah, he's 40 years old. Retired in 2015, but he was at Leeds between 2006 and 2010. Of course, during that time, they did drop into League One, and I wonder if he played in that game against, was it Histon that they got beat by years ago? They got beat 1-0 by a team, and I think it was Histon, which is Cambridgeshire-based team. Maybe somebody might be able to correct me on that. Shall we have a look at your worst select 11 then, Matt? Let's have a look at this. Oh, there we are. Well, it was obvious who the manager was going to be.
Yeah.
Let's be honest.
Yeah. So yeah, that's the ones I would go with.
Go on, just talk us through the names of the players. I think we've
got in goal. We got Nyland. Right back, I chose Mr. Versatile, Callum Hart. Miles Addison and Sean Mayer at centre back, with Brad Smith at left back, and then we got Willie Huck on the left side of midfield and Jordan Ibe on the other side, on the right. And kind of acting just as like a little holding midfielder, we got Mr. Paul Telfer. And in more of an attacking position just behind the front two, we've got Tomlin. And then we've got the dream team up top in Chucky Eraben and Frank Demouge.
There we go.
And you can see the subs on the side there. They even done some substitutes. Look.
There we are. Well, what do you think of that, Chris? Do you think
very good. Very, well, not a very good team, but yeah.
No,
good
very shit team.
Yeah, good choices. I like it. Very good.
Let's put ourselves in the shoes. The Great Escape season, would that team have managed to pull us through, or would we have just been?
Well, we would have scored about 6 goals all season.
So we would have got off minus points, to be fair, would we?
It would have been bad.
Yeah. Well, let's have a look, see if you've done any better, Chris. So, just loading up. Chris Rawley's Rotten Cherries. Go on, Chris. You talk through it.
Okay. So, my goalkeeper I've got is probably a bit of a harsh one, so I went for Gareth Stewart. So,
oh dear.
Played a lot of games before. He's played 163 games over 9 years. So, I'm probably going to get a bit of stick for this one. But if you think about that 9 years and those amount of games, can you actually remember that many games where he played well? Matt, can you? Honestly?
You see, now, for me, I think, no, I can't agree with you on that.
No, but I'm not saying if you can agree if you can beat it, but can you remember a great deal of games where he actually had a good game?
He played some good games. I mean, come on.
He only had like one season where he was actually first choice. The rest of the time he was second choice. He couldn't kick. He couldn't kick. He couldn't catch. Everything he palmed to the 6-yard box.
He dislodged Michael Menatrea, didn't he?
Well, I could have probably dislodged Michael Menatrea.
But yeah, no, I would definitely agree with you in terms of saying that is harsh.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. Okay, let's move on from Gareth Stewart then, okay?
Yeah.
If you think the goalkeeping situation is harsh, it's like a tough one because even the ones you picked, none of them played a considerable amount of games.
No, that's right. Yeah, and I mean, don't forget. I mean, like when we first started watching, there was players like Bartram, Ian Andrews, and then Jimmy.
We've
Glass
always had good goalkeepers.
Mark Ovendale. So you always had I mean, some people would have put Jimmy Glass in there. I mean, the goalkeeper one was always going to be a tricky one.
We've always had solid keepers. So in my mind, out of the long-term solid keepers we've had, he's the most dodgy of them.
Yeah.
If you compare him to Glass, Ovendale, Moss, like Travers, he's the worst, isn't he, out of those?
He would be a very good number 2 to all of those.
Yeah, he'd be a good number 2, but he wouldn't dislodge any of them, would he?
Yeah, okay.
Okay, so my right back is a bit of a sort of a left wing choice because he never played right back for us, but he was a right back at some point in his career. So I went for Paul Telfer as right back because I was really struggling to think of a right back.
Yeah, I don't blame you on that one because
like you said, we haven't had a poor right back as such.
No, I mean, like I say, our fullbacks have been consistent all over the years, haven't they? So fullback was always going to be a tricky one.
Yeah, exactly. Like you said, we've always had Neil Young, then we've had Purchase, and Adam Smith, Frano. They've always been good at right back.
Yeah.
My centre back is very similar to yours. I did Sean Mayer for obvious reasons. Clumsy on the ball, but get sent off quite regularly. Would always liable for an own goal or two.
Yeah.
Miles Addison for exactly the same reasons. Slow. I think he thought he was better than he was, maybe. Because he was quite good when he was really young. He was Derby's youngest captain.
Yeah.
I also put Elliot Ward in there because he came with quite a big reputation, didn't he?
Yeah.
Relatively, and I just didn't think he came with the idea of probably when they signed him. I think it was the idea to probably dislodge Elphick,
right,
at the time, because I think when he signed him, we just moved up to the Championship, hadn't we?
Yes.
And I think probably the thought was probably Elphick might not be able to do it in the Championship. I know he obviously could, and he was a great player, but I think when they signed him, they probably signed him to be a first choice.
Yeah, I would probably agree with that, yeah.
And obviously it didn't turn out to be, and he was there for two whole seasons, and he managed to play 20. Well, actually, he was there for 3 seasons, and he only actually played 25 games, including cup matches.
Yeah.
My left back's exactly the same as yours. Narada, Brad Smith, and Callum Hart. Callum Hart actually played 45 games over 2 years.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Quite. If someone had asked me randomly, I looked it up. I didn't know that was how many games he played. If somebody had asked me how many games he played, I would have said 10 or 20. That's how non-memorable he was. I don't ever remember him having a standout game. Like you said, you just remember him for his hair. Like you said as well, Narada is we're probably being a bit harsh on him because you had Warren Cummings and Purchase.
That's the thing with Narada. I mean, he did have that ahead of him, didn't he? So, I mean, like I say, for us, fullback has been such a strong position over the years. That's why I had to list all the ones that we've had over the years because, that's just how difficult it is to pick a right back and a left back.
Exactly. And the other thing, if Brad Smith hadn't cost us like 5 million or 8 million or whatever he cost us, would he actually be in our list? It's only because we paid so much money for him, I think. If he'd been a free transfer, would we really care?
Yeah. Fair enough point.
So I'm a bit like so for me, I stuck with exactly the same thought as you did, to be honest.
Yeah.
Right wing had to be Jordan Ibe. Again, we've been quite lucky on the right hand side. We've never really had never had any like poor players on that side because, you know, we had Wader for a long time. You know, James Hayter, if he wasn't playing up front, would quite often play right wing, wouldn't he?
Yeah, again, he would move about, wouldn't he?
Yeah, we've always had versatile players that filled in on the wings, you know.
Yeah.
Always been quite lucky over there. I did go for Mike Dean in centre mid because he was actually at the club for 6 years. I didn't realise that, and he only played 37 games over 6 years, and never scored a goal. I don't ever remember him doing anything. You know.
Yeah. I'm quite surprised you've put him in there, actually.
I never really. I never remember him doing anything.
I'll tell you the one that you know. Sorry, I'm getting confused. The one you used to love was Mark Rawlinson.
Yeah, I used to like Mark Rawlinson. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
It's only
Yeah.
a similar bloody name to him.
Yeah, that was probably why I liked him. I was like 10 years old. That was probably the only reason I liked
I think
him.
that was the obsession that he come from Man United and
he
he
had
had
a similar
sounding surname. So
yeah, and he was Mark Rawlinson was actually not too bad. He was quite versatile, wasn't he?
yeah, I think he played in a fair few different positions, didn't he, in his time?
Yeah. I also went for Stephen Gregory and Jamie Day.
Okay.
I thought about putting Marcus Albury in there, but he scored that really good goal in the cup, didn't he?
Yeah, and then I think he went off to somewhere like Bashley, didn't he?
Yeah, he had a long time in the local non-league circuit, you know.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I just thought Jamie Day. I know he didn't, like you said, he had a lot in front of him, but I think whenever he did get a game, he never really did much, did he?
Yeah.
And Gregory, he scored 3 goals in his 28 games, didn't he? But every time I saw him on the ball, he just, I don't know, he wasn't exciting. He was boring. He used to bottle the tackle. You know what I mean? I just didn't really rate him.
Yeah, that's a fair enough point. I mean, your left midfield's quite interesting.
It's the same as yours, isn't it? Will Huck and Donald McDermott, yeah.
Yeah, I did wonder how many we would get that was similar.
Yeah, we got quite a lot. But it's like you can tell we've been supporting them the same amount of time, you know.
And then the forwards.
Yeah, the forwards are very I'm surprised maybe you didn't have Ranty in yours.
I did think about Ranty, but then I just kept on thinking of how happy he was when he scored that lob against Burnley. And
that was a great goal.
I can't put him in there.
Yeah.
And then the 2 goals he got at Birmingham and
yeah.
You know what? He should have been a big impact at Bournemouth.
Yeah, definitely.
But unfortunately, it didn't work out for him. But the player scored goals, didn't he? I mean, he scored loads for which club is he? Is it begins with an M?
Malmo.
Yeah,
that's it.
Malmo.
I mean, he scored a lot of goals for them. He's scored at international level quite consistently.
Yeah, true.
And then when I looked at that, and I thought, nah, you can't really put him in. Is that a certain Mr. Amos Ferreira?
Yeah. I put Amos Ferreira in there. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I had. I'll tell you the one I almost put in that I took out last minute was Wes Thomas, and I'll tell you why I put him in there originally was because he had a really good loan spell, but once we signed him, I thought he was awful. Like when he was on loan, he scored 7 goals in 14 games, but once we signed him permanently, he only scored 4 goals in 38, and then we sent him out on loan a couple of times.
Yeah.
I thought he was awful once we signed him properly. You know, they never tried and was a completely different player.
I actually forgot about Wes Thomas, to be fair.
You know, because I thought it's a completely different player. When he was on loan, he was awesome, but once he signed permanently, he didn't care.
Yeah,
he was playing for a contract.
Yeah,
that was a bit like Donald McDermott. When he was on loan, he was awesome. Once we signed him
from, Chris?
Huh?
Who did he come on loan from?
What, Donald McDermott?
Yeah.
Man City.
Ah, right, okay. Yeah.
I don't know where's Thomas came on loan from. I can't remember.
Wasn't that? Yeah, no, I can't remember now. Did he play for Crawley at some point?
It was Crawley, yeah. It was Crawley.
Okay.
But he was playing for a contract. You know, as soon as he got a contract, he just was rubbish. Like, so I should have left him in it maybe, but I put him in, took him out, put him in, took him out.
Okay.
But yeah, so that's my team basically. But I forgot about people like Lee Tomlin.
There's one player that I honestly thought you were going to put in. I was trying to put him in, but I just couldn't find a picture of him anywhere. That was Mohamed Berth.
No, I couldn't put him in because he scored a couple of worldies, didn't he? I know he disappeared off the face of the earth.
Now, do you remember? Yeah, I was going to say, do you remember that free kick he took 35 yards out?
Yeah, like a rocket.
And I've never seen anyone hit a ball like it, I don't think.
No, yeah, exactly.
A player that had so much potential and just disappeared, didn't he?
Yeah. I couldn't put him in it though because when the short amount of time we had him, I think he scored like 4 goals in about 12 games, didn't he?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's just a shame he just disappeared.
Yeah. Another day in the past.
Yeah.
Quick question, a bit of trivia actually about Teleko Rante. He actually spent more time at Bournemouth than any other club in his entire career. He was playing for Stars of Africa Academy. Of course, that's academy football. But apart from, he was here for 3 years, wasn't he? Malmo, he was there for 2. After he left, he went to Turkey, played 26 games, scoring 3 goals. After that, he went back to South Africa and didn't actually play a game.
Wow.
So there we are. There's a little bit of trivia. Shall we have a look at this horrible lot that you've selected, Chris? Go on. Talk through the team then.
Okay, so yeah, I've gone with Gareth Stewart in goal. Yeah, probably a harsh one. Loads of people probably give me some stick for that later. Paul Telfer at right back. Yeah, I know he didn't play right back for us, but I really struggled to put anybody there. Sean Mayer and Miles Addison. Matt has the same, so I think we can both agree on that.
Yeah.
He's got Callum Hart in his team as well, hence maybe at the other position, but he's still got him in. Midfield on the right, Jordan Ibe. In the middle, I've got Mike Dean and Jamie Day. I just don't think neither of them really did enough. On the left mid, Willie Huck. Again, because obviously he came from Arsenal. I think he had electric pace. He was so quick, wasn't he?
Who was that? Sorry.
Willie Huck was really quick, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was quick. He was a quick player.
Yeah, very quick. But I think he used to get beyond the player, but could never quite deliver the last ball, could he?
I remember when they were trying him at left back, and he was so quick. He was fantastic on the. You remember what Mates used to do with the old overlap? There was always overlap on the wings.
Yeah.
So you had Younger and Bailey one end, and then you'd have Jamie Vincent, and around that time I think it was Christian Warren, wasn't it, on the left hand side? They would interchange, and so he did have some pace on him, from what I remember, definitely.
Yeah, so I've got Willie Huck on the left, and then up front I had to go for Lyle Taylor. I mean, no goals in 30 games, and he did start 10 of those games. And Chucky 1 goal in 47 games. I mean, that's a deadly strike partnership in it. 77 games, 1 goal. Yeah. I mean, we're staying up like that, aren't we, boys?
Yeah. Well, let's hope we don't do that next season, because we might beat Derby's record if we do that. But what we're going to quickly do now is we're going to combine the two. So I am just going to quickly get up that. So you can argue between yourselves. Who's going in goal?
Okay, Matt, you can have your one in goal. Militrea. Or Nyland.
No. We'll yeah. Nyland.
Who's in goal? Nyland.
Yeah.
Yeah, Nyland. Yeah, to be honest, we would concede load. Shall we go for centre backs before we go for the
Yeah, they're the same, aren't they? So
Yeah.
So that was Miles Addison and
Mayer.
Sean Mayer.
Sorry, who was the other one?
Mayer.
Mayer. Is that how you spell it?
No, it's it's Irish, isn't it? It's Maher.
Yeah, of course. Right, left back.
Can we go Callum Hart at left back? Matt?
Yeah, if that's what you want.
Because then we can have Telfer at right back and then we can free up a place in midfield.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, okay.
No, Brad Smith.
Well, yeah, true. Oh, it's a tough one. What do you think, Matt?
You see, Mr. Hart was versatile.
Okay, let's stick with Hart at right back.
Hart at right back instead of Telfer.
Yeah, Hart at right back, yeah.
And then left back.
Smith.
Brad Smith.
You might want to put B Smith there because you don't want people thinking it's
Adam
Smith.
There we go. Okay.
Right, left midfield.
Mr. Huck.
Yeah.
And then the centre midfields. Personally, I think, I honestly think that, he did nothing after coming from Peterborough, did he?
No, I think midfield we should have one each. I think you should have Tomlin.
Yeah.
And I should have Day because you had Day in your shortlist as well.
Entirely up to you, Chris. I'm happy with that.
Yeah, because then
Tomlin
there and then Day in the other one.
And then right midfield. To be honest, he would run around anywhere that he chose. To be honest, let's go for Jordan Ibe.
Yeah, put him at right mid, and he might play left back.
Yeah, should we just move him around and just go anywhere? But he won't pass to anybody. There you go. There you are, Jordan Ibe. He can go anywhere. And then up front. Now I can't. I've got to agree with Matt, Chris. Rante is not going in there.
No, I know. I think we both. Didn't we? Who did you have in your final two, Matt?
Chucky and Demouge.
Okay. I just don't like Demouge. He only played 2 games.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Yeah.
I think Chucky's a definite because he played so many. It's the second one. I don't know.
I think you're right, Chris. Actually, with what you were saying, what was it, 70 odd games and no goal, 1 goal between them?
Yeah,
Taylor. That's got to be the front two.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's done well since. He went to Wimbledon and did well. Went to Charlton, scored lots of goals there. I think he's probably going to be on his way out of Forest, to be fair. But yeah, I think that team. Let's be honest, we're not going to be scoring much up front. We're going to be conceding bloody hell a lot. And then when a team get through on goal, Nyland will probably just pass it back to them. So, yeah, I think that is probably the nightmare 11 from us. So, happy with the choices, lads?
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, we've picked well there. Of course, this podcast has gone on well over an hour today. So hopefully you're all enjoying it. So remember to hit that subscribe button, give us some likes and also hit that bell. Tell us what you think. Tell us your worst 11s. And hey, for anybody out there who's going, oh, you can't say that about footballers. At the end of the day, it's literally opinions, isn't it, guys?
Yeah, that's what it is.
Exactly.
It's opinions, and at the end of the day, there's going to be players that you love, there's players that you hate, and there's nothing against these guys, is there? But it's a case of that they just weren't very good for us.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
We've just tried to be honest with what we've said about them. We've said if they've done well for other teams, we've said that.
Exactly, guys. Before we go, let's talk about this third kit as well that's just been released. I think it's quite a nice idea. It's a really, really good idea. Bringing everybody together. What's your thoughts on the shirt itself?
I think it's smart.
Yeah.
It's one of those ones that I'd call popping down the pub for a pint shirt. Just nice casual, go with a pair of jeans, wouldn't it? And off you go.
You wouldn't look out of place in the Camel Bar, innit?
No. And I think obviously the idea behind it and the campaign with the way the kit was launched, I think was I thought it was great, really. And now it got the supporters involved as well, because there was a few of them that Chris would probably recognise that we've seen in the stands over the years. So
yeah, definitely.
I think it's a good idea. It's a good campaign. I shall hopefully be purchasing it at some point.
Excellent. What do you think, Chris?
Yeah, very, very much the same as Matt. You can, sort of wear it anywhere, can't you? It's, very, very nice, very smart. Like not our normal sort of thing. Very, very nice.
It's not an out there, is it? Third shirt. So maybe, and there was something that was flashed up on Twitter a little while back about the away shirt, and something to do with palm trees. God only knows what that could be, but it sounds like it could be quite interesting.
Cool.
But
nice bright yellow.
Yeah, yellow would be good. We haven't had yellow for so long.
You know, never know. It might be a bit of yellow, blue, green. Be interesting.
Yeah. The madder the better.
Yeah, definitely.
Exactly. We've got a sensible third kit. We've got a home kit that we all like. I know there's a lot of people out there that don't, but I think it's a smart kit. It's different. We have to mix it up sometimes. So I'm all for it. What are we going to discuss next week, guys? So we've talked about the worst 11. Of course, things might happen during the week as well, because of course we're getting a little bit closer to the season now, so there could well be some incomings, might even be some outgoings. I doubt it'll be any of the first team, but what do you reckon we might see this week? Do you think we might see Nat Phillips return?
Hope so, or if not, at least a centre back of his calibre come in.
Yeah, it would be nice to see at least one signing, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, I would say we still need. I personally think we still need to sign. But yeah, Bournemouth's never been one for being really out there within the press, have they? And having their transfer business known. They've always liked to keep it quiet and under wraps, and which isn't necessarily a bad thing. It just means we have to wait in anticipation for a signing. I think now they're out in Portugal. Obviously, this is where it's really going to kickstart now of this pre-season. So I think hopefully the sooner they start integrating maybe a couple more players, the better. We're going to have the behind closed doors fixtures coming up.
Yeah.
I'm not too sure when they actually are.
I think Sheffield Wednesday is tomorrow.
Tomorrow, is it?
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see what the results are from that. I mean, obviously, it's not being streamed anywhere, or there's absolutely no streaming going on anywhere, is it? It's completely behind closed doors, and that's it. So, which is a shame in some respects, because it is always nice to watch a friendly, to see what they've been working on, and who he's playing with who, and what he's trying out. And because it was quite interesting watching the ones last year, because he had obviously a lot of youngsters involved last year, didn't he? And it was quite interesting to watch them. So that's a shame that we won't be able to see them. But we've obviously got the Bristol City and the Real Sociedad games to look forward to. But yeah, so over the next week, let's hope for maybe a new face or two.
Yeah.
And see what happens.
Well, we will be back next week. We will be live from Friday morning. So, of course, all our shows are pre-recorded, but you will be able to watch it from Friday morning next week. You're back in for it, Matt, aren't you?
Yep.
Of course, Chris, you're back in as well.
Yeah, of course.
There we go. We'll have some more fun. No doubt. Well, we've talked about loads of stuff. We talked about Chucky and his goal against Bristol Rovers today. We've talked about Nyland making plenty of mistakes. We haven't mentioned much about Jimmy Quinn, but he was the manager of both the sides. He's manager of the final side as well. Let's be honest, guys, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No one else could be.
Yeah. We even bought in the Camel Bar, and to be honest, if you showed me a picture of what it looks like inside, well, if you showed me 3 pictures of what it looks like inside, I wouldn't be able to pick it out for you. That says it all, really, doesn't it? And on that bombshell, it's time to end. So thank you guys again for watching. Do remember to hit that like, that subscribe button and that bell button, and make sure that you do support the channel in whatever way you can. Share this video over social media and tell us what you actually think. Do you like our selections? Do you dislike our selections? Do you think that we shouldn't be doing this? No, don't care about that one. But until next video, up the cherries, and I'll see you then.